All right, cool. You guys ready to start?
As long as I'm not the first one up, yes.
All right, well, I'll kick it off real quick because I I remember seeing the buzz for this movie when it came out. One Battle After Another, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Um, and the buzz was that it was a Paul Thomas Anderson Paul Thomas Anderson, supposed to be one of his best. You watch the trailers and it looked really kind of comedic from the trailers. Like it definitely had like a funny feel to it. And I think that's a little misleading. But on Rotten Tomatoes, 94% from the critics, 85% from the audience, and it's an 8 on IMDb. So it's like rating out really well. Um, there's a lot of talk that it could be up for Best Picture. Leo will be up for Best Actor. Sean Penn could be up for Best Supporting Actor. So there's a lot going for it. It's a long film. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, 2.5 hours, something like that. Um, and it's good. It's good. I think the pacing, the whole thing feels slow, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's definitely like developing the story. And I know you tell stories in three acts, but this actually feels like three stories, even though it's all the same story. So the film opens up and you've got a much younger Leo, and we find him and this woman that he is in a relationship with or starting a relationship with. Um, they are revolutionaries and they are basically breaking people out. And this is very timely these days. They're literally breaking people out of like ice camps, right? They're like breaking Mexican folks out of not internment camps is the wrong term, but I forget like the word is what
Detention camps,
there
maybe?
you go, detention camps. Perfect. Um, and so they start going off, and so for a long time they're getting in a bunch of trouble. And I think the group is called they call themselves as the French 75. And there's a big group of them, and that they're very well organized. Um, but ultimately, at one point, actually in the first raid we see them do. The girl, she's played by, is it Tiona Taylor? I think it's Tiona Taylor. Um, she Tiana Taylor, yeah. She is one of the ones that's kind of spearheading this thing, and she goes in to the camp after they've kind of blown open the door and they've done all this, and she holds Sean Penn at gunpoint, and she takes his hat and she takes his gun, um, but she notices that he gets a little aroused by the situation, um, and so that kind of builds this weird like tension between the two of them. And so after they escape with all their people and they leave him like chained to a fence, they start doing other things, committing some crimes. They're generally just being bad kids, doing their revolutionary thing. And we find out that Sean Penn is kind of following this woman around, like he's got a thing for her after she was robbed. And so um, he finds out where she is and corners her in like a bathroom stall. And there's this weird thing where even though she's been in a relationship with Leo this whole time, um, she kind of teases Sean Penn's character to get out of trouble. And he says, I won't tell anybody where you are, but I want my gun and my hat back. Meet me at this place, whatever. Well, they go there and they like she has sex with him. Like, so, that happens. And then they rob a bank and that bank job goes sideways and she gets arrested. And she's the only one that gets caught and she rolls on everyone.
Mm.
So the whole organization, she's like, they put her in witness protection and all that. Oh, sorry. And during this time, she got pregnant and had a baby. And like, there's this whole thing about how she wants to be a revolutionary. And she's actually jealous that Leo seems to care more about the baby than her. because she's never there. Like she's always trying to do this other thing, and he's trying to become a family man. Like that's kind of his thing. And so when she rolls on everybody, everybody goes to ground, right? Like they all scatter to the winds, right? And so that's kind of where the first bit ends. Then we jump forward 16 years to his daughter, being a teenager. His daughter is played by
Chase Infinity.
yes. She's been in a couple of things so far, but she's really good in this. I don't know that she'll be nominated for an award, but like I definitely see um bright things in her future. Um she she's just really good in this and she's actually like 25 and she's playing 16, so she's doing that really well. Um but the next bit is like we see that over the 16 years, Leo has really just let himself go. He's a total stoner. He's that paranoid guy that lives in the woods. That's like everybody's after me because they sort of are. And so he's raised his daughter, who doesn't necessarily believe in his paranoia because she was a baby when it all happened, and then she grew up outside of that. And so you have this whole thing now where Sean Penn's character finally gets wind of where they are. And during this time, we find out he is being courted into this like super, super secret, like white supremacist group, like high up in the government, military officials, all this stuff, right? And he's being courted for that. And of course, there's a chance that this 16-year-old girl is his daughter,
Hmm.
right? And he can't have that because this group is going to look up every single thing about him that they can find. And so the second bit is him chasing them down, and then finally the third bit is all of the chaos coming from him finding the girl and what goes on from there. And it's weird, like I don't know how to describe the movie tonally. Like it's not a comedy for sure. Like the trailer made it seem more fun and funny than it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I'm seeing it as it's billed as a comedy drama, at least when I'm looking at it on online on Google. So,
for the most part, I really didn't find it particularly funny. There were some funny moments. I think Benicio del Toro was fantastic in it. He had some good humor. Sean Penn's character, because he's such a cliche, is kind of funny. Like he kind of walks like John McCain did, like really stiff, because McCain was very, very specific
torture.
reasons. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
he had it real rough. And so, but Sean Penn definitely walks like he's got to stick up his ass and like can't, his posture's a little funky. Like definitely made a character decision there, right? And but it's not, I mean, it's not funny. It definitely, I mean, has some funny moments. It's a little slow to be called an action film, although there's some good action in it. I've seen it described as an adventure, which I kind of makes it sound more fun than it is. So it's really weird to like pick what it is, but it's good at whatever it is. Like it really is a good film. It's just a little slow, I think. But at the same time, like I don't know where I would have pared things down or cut things down. And obviously, Paul Thomas Anderson knows what he's doing. He's not some dummy. He's been around a bit. Um, and so it's overall, I mean, it's a really good film. Leo does a great job playing. In the beginning, he plays the revolutionary, and then he plays the stoner, and then in the like basically the third act, he's the guy that's trying to find his daughter, and he's trying to clean up along the way, um, but not really clean up, more just be clean for where he's needed at the moment. And overall, I think it really is a good movie. And it's just funny. I don't know when this was written, or when it was planned, but it definitely um, has a few things that feel very timely right now in it. Um, but yeah, overall, I mean, I would say it's definitely worth a watch. If I mean, I guess I'll say dramedy. If dramedy is kind of your jam, um, and you don't mind the slow burn, It's really good. Like I said, it does start a little slow, builds up. Um, I saw somewhere that they said they thought Teyana Taylor would be up for Best Supporting Actress, but she's not really in it after the first act. So I don't know that she's in it enough to win that award. Like if I was going to pick somebody to be Best Supporting Actress from this, it would be the girl.
The daughter.
Is it Chase Infinity? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would pick her over Teyana Taylor, not because Teyana Taylor wasn't good. I just don't think she's in it enough. But yeah, it really is good. And I think it's in theaters still. It's also on Apple or Amazon or wherever to purchase or rent. So it's definitely worth checking out.
So, I never saw Heart Eight, but I did see Boogie Nights and Magnolia, and those were, of course, his second and third films.
Mhm.
Punch Drunk Love was, I think, was the first time you saw Adam Sandler in something that wasn't funny.
And
Never
yeah, and
saw it.
dramatic.
Yeah, but then There Will Be Blood. I was told by someone that I needed to watch it because something I said reminded him of Daniel Day-Lewis's character when he was talking about people and just like disdain
That's
for
the oil
people.
one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I've never seen that one. I always meant to, and I never
You
did.
should definitely check it out. It's
Yeah.
also slow, I think. It's a bit of an
hmm
epic, but it's like, oh man, and Paul Dano, that was the first time I ever saw him in a movie. And yeah, anyway, I highly recommend that one. And then yeah, the buzz for this movie is pretty crazy. I mean, looking at Rotten Tomatoes, it's 94% critics, 85% audience.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you say it's good, I okay, I believe you. So.
Yeah, I would definitely lean towards that 8 score that it kind of sits at on IMDb.
Mhm.
Like I definitely wouldn't put it like a 9 or a 10 or anything. I think that's for things that are exceptional, like ridiculously exceptional. But this is good, and I think watching it, I can definitely see why it's going to be up for the awards it'll end up being up for. Leo's Leo. He's always good. So that's that. But yeah, all in all, it is really good. So I would certainly say check it out.
Another thing before we switch topics and I run off screen to get something. Do you know who Paul Thomas Anderson's like wifey? They're not married, but you know who he's been with for a long time and he has 4 kids with?
Huh.
You'll never guess. Although when I tell you, it'll all make sense as far as like the casting and the themes.
So like Heather Graham.
Maya Rudolph.
Oh shit.
Isn't that random as hell?
That's awesome.
Yeah. 4 kids with Maya.
That's awesome. I love her.
Yeah, she's great. And also a factoid, Dick Rudolph was her dad and he was a music producer. And I like some of his stuff. He did some work for New Edition. And of course we all know that her mom was Minnie Riperton. So
Yep. All right, cool. Well, that's my sales pitch for One Battle After Another. Definitely check it out. I think we'll move on. I think we're going to do something that is pretty rare on the show. I think I've done it once or twice before, but Andrew, you're going to review another podcast, a single episode from another podcast to be certain.
a single episode from another podcast. So ladies and gentlemen of the All Pop No Culture audience, picture this. It's the year 2001 and I have started appointment television on it was the WB. Yeah, it was the WB at the time. It
hmm
wasn't the CW yet. It was the WB, and it was a little show called Smallville that captured my imagination from 2001 to 2011, 10 seasons. And there was an actor, however you want to say it now, on the show, who I'll admit, I'm being a little dramatic here, guys, but I'll admit I absolutely had a crush on him back then, like totally. But also, I was Kristen Cruick. I mean, come on, right? But Kristen Cruick was like at like stratosphere, and Allison was more like realistic.
Just the
Anyway,
attainable nerdy one.
yes, and with a great personality. But anyway, fast forward to gosh, I want to say maybe like 2017 or 2018 or something like that. Then all of a sudden these headlines come out about how Allison was part of this like sex cult called Nxivm. And jokingly, because I was at a bar with some fellas actually after work, and we were all like, yo, like where were we? Like we should have signed up for this. But anyways, I'm being terrible. Anyways, let me be serious now. So her life was over, basically. She goes to jail for like, although she got off light, like she
She
only
did get
got
off really
like
late.
36 months. No, the 30, yeah, 36 months in jail and 36 months probation, but her career and reputation was over. Um, and the guy who started this fault, Keith Raniere, I think he's in jail for like 145 years, so he's never coming
He's in
out.
jail for a very long time.
Yeah, he's done. So that said, Inside of You is a podcast that is been put on by Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor on Smallville. And let me tell you, this was, I think, and I was saying this in the pre-show, the most honest, real conversation I think I've seen in a very long time. I thought it was incredibly vulnerable for these two humans to actually get together, have a conversation, and have it recorded. Because, you know, Michael, I remember even kind of whenever Allison would come up in any situation where I saw him, he was almost like, I think evasive is too strong of a word, but it was just more of like uh, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, I never saw
Yeah,
anything weird,
he
but
did not want to take a stand on this particular issue.
he was
Uh,
like, one time she came over, it was really weird, but but he was also honest. It wasn't like
yep.
he was trying to like be PR about it. He was being real. But what really struck me was, she was not doing any interviews, not doing any podcasts, and she
Nope.
said like on the show, like 90% of the people that she knew like basically abandoned her, and they were all gone. And she said it meant everything to her that he would reach out to ask to come to the podcast, and that was the only reason she came, because he actually asked. And you could tell like during the conversation, like there was a little bit of healing going on like between the two of them and their relationship. And one thing that she also said, like during the podcast, what she talked about, and you said this too, Kevin, like independently, she said she had been watching him for years doing his podcast, and she said the way you talk to the people that you love, like it just comes off, and the people basically, it's almost like she was feeling grateful that like he's someone that she could basically come and talk to and call a friend. Now I'll just get to the meat of the interview. So it was about an hour and 15 minutes or so, and it was pretty like he didn't softball it, but he didn't Barbara Walters it either. It was more of like, how have you been? Like, what's going on? Um, Talk to me about your time in jail. Talk to me about like warning signs for a cult, and and she talked about two major warning signs, which were being one, um, don't let anything kind of take over your whole life. If that starts to happen, that's a red flag. And then two, if all the people that you love are starting to like peace out on you because of what you're into, that's also a red flag because they might have your best interest at heart. She talked about, her, just acting. She talked about, of course, just her own story, like how she started acting at 4 and, her first roles and what she liked about being on Smallville. But she just came off really as a very intelligent, emotionally aware, and high EQ, eloquent person. And I remember as I was watching the podcast, I went to the comments on YouTube, and some people were saying, "Man, I can see how she was able to recruit people to the cult." Because because she speaks so well and with such depth that it's I found myself a little drawn in. One of the coolest twists towards the end of the interview was she is now married to some guy named Frank, and Michael Rosenbaum basically asked her like, so what was that like? Like did Frank know what you came with, or and was he like, I don't care, I love you anyway? And then she's like, well, Frank's his story is actually just as crazy, if not crazier than mine. And apparently, Steven Spielberg made this documentary called Why We Hate. And Frank is from Philly, and he was basically a ex-white supremacist who, at 19 went to jail. In jail, he met some people who were people of color, obviously. That was the first kind of crack in his hate. And then the second kind of major crack was once he got out and he started falling into back with the white supremacists, he then got a job in New Jersey working for a Jewish guy at a moving company. And the Jewish guy basically said, look, I don't care if that's your past, as long as you're a good employee, like whatever, you know? And through that, he basically became reformed and ultimately and then the biggest shocker, he eventually took a DNA test and found out that he was Jewish. So he moves
I
over to
that story reminds me of American History X though.
American History X, and also there's another story. I never remember this guy's name, but he was Ken in Barbie,
Ryan
Heartthrob
Gosling.
Dude. What's his name?
Ryan Gosling.
Thank you. Ryan Gosling played a Jewish skinhead in a movie called, I think, True Believer or The Believer or something like that. This is like
Mhm.
early, like 2001, 1999, maybe 2001, 2002. And he was a Jewish kid. He knew he was Jewish, but he became a neo-Nazi. But anyway, that's a true story too. I guess it happens a lot. Not a lot, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so they meet at a dog park and they don't even know who each other are. And they actually discover who each other are by like watching documentaries on each other because he watched her documentary and she watched his. But anyway, man, I feel like I'm not doing this justice. But let me tell you guys, like I'm telling you, I think that what I like about Michael Rosenbaum's approach and what I liked about even watching this whole thing was I felt like we were lucky in a way because media and the world has evolved so much because we now are so much closer to the people who make art, whether it's music, whether it's movies, because of social media, right? And never would I have thought back in 2001 to 2011 that I would see Lex Luthor and Chloe Sullivan, like the real actors, having a real conversation. And I'm literally watching like Michael, Lex, being like caring, firm, but caring, and being and fair-minded, and giving Allison a platform basically to kind of, again, repent is too strong of a word because she's also smart enough to say, he at one point he even asked her, is there anything you would want to say to those who were victims? And then she said smartly, this isn't the place to do that. And I think that, that conversation, if it were to happen, should happen one on one. Like, I would not, this is not what this is about. I think she's very aware of the tightrope she's walking. But I think the best way to walk a tightrope, the best way to walk even, burning coals is just to be completely present, be completely honest, and just do it with no other intention but to get across to the other side. And I think she did it with flying colors. So all I'll say is if you are a Smallville fan, um, this is a can't miss. I was floored by how powerful the conversation really was.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I've said it to you many times, but Rosenbaum he's actually an incredible interviewer. And if you see him in anything besides that setting, he's kind of a screw off. Like he's totally crazy. Like he's over the top. He gets in too much trouble, has too much fun. He was the one getting in trouble on the set of Smallville all the time. Like he's got a little bit of ADD and like not well regulated. Like he's a little crazy. But when he does these interviews, he's like freaking Barbara Walters. Like he gets to people and he's really good at like prodding in a way that doesn't feel overly invasive, but still pushes them towards something that is like more emotional than you would expect. And like I've seen a lot, or I've heard a lot of good ones, because way back when I was living in California and commuted all the time, I listen to that podcast all the time. Um, and he talked to a lot of people over the years. I mean, I don't even know how many episodes this is, what episode number this was, but it is a high number for sure. Um, and he is just a fantastic interviewer. Like it's a skill, I think, or maybe it's a gift. I don't know. Like I don't feel like everybody can just interview people and do that. Like you can do an interview and ask your questions or whatever, and that can be fine. But there's an ability there to hear something and know how to turn that into something that's deeper, or turn towards something that's deeper for the person you're interviewing.
1,000%. And as I'm trying to look up the episode number, what I'll also say, which was this is actually like mainstream media is picking this up. Like they're actually, I think it
Hmm.
was PMT or People or whatever, talks about a part that I forgot, like where she does say, she's like, I absolutely thought about suicide. She said it.
Hmm.
And she was like, the only reason why I didn't do it was because of my mom. Like
Yep.
I knew it would destroy her. But it's just crazy, like just watching someone just admit that. Like, yeah, and then also another thing that was so humbling was how yeah, like she's broke. Like basically, yeah, she got
Yeah.
residuals from this show, but after all the legal fees and everything, she's like, you know, I remember like she's like she would like oh, she's doing prison reform now. She's a teacher. Like I would say she's probably ENFJ. So she's like doing education for prison reform, and she also talked about how this is where I get a little critical now. So one of the things she talked about is how she doesn't believe in the concept of like good and bad people. She says that there are people who do bad things, right? So you can be a good person who does bad things. So she says there's a lot of people in jail who are good people, but they did bad things. And it's about just kind of teaching them or giving them the skills to make better decisions. And I'm thinking to myself, and she said this on the podcast, and again, she's just being real, so I'm not gonna like whatever, it's her truth. But she's like, but I know I'm not a bad person, so I did a bad thing, and I'm like,
She
in
did a
my head,
lot of bad things. It's not
know,
she
and
didn't
then
rob one bank. She straight up like
but then
branded a handful of
in
women.
her defense though, she talked about how the grooming process did take about 8 or 9 years. Like she was in like this group and nothing weird was happening until probably the eighth or ninth year.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
it's kind of like you just move in increments and increments and increments. This Keith Raniere guy was a master manipulator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, but going back to the whole broke thing, she talked about how she would ride her bike to like the school, whatever she was doing, because she was allowed to do that. But it wasn't even her bike, it was her mom's bike. And she was saying how she was like hoping for Christmas, maybe someone can get her a bike. And she was just saying like years ago, I was like driving BMWs every 2 or 3 years and trading them in. Like I had my own place. I was like balling. She didn't see it was balling, but and now she's like, I can't afford a bike. So
Yeah.
it's very humbling. And I think that that's also like a trip, so if she can figure this out and actually make something of herself beyond this, like she said she'd love to act again, she misses it, but Michael asked her like, how do you feel knowing that there is a possibility that no one will ever want to hire you again, and that's a rough question, but
It is a
he
rough question, but
kept
it's a
it
fair
real.
one. Yeah. It's a very fair question because I don't Hollywood can be forgiving. I mean, we've seen, Robert Downey Jr., but look at somebody like Mel Gibson. He's never had the real bounce back that he's talented, but
The
people
thing
haven't
is,
forgiven,
The
you
thing is,
know.
Robert Downey Jr. only, if you hurt yourself, that's
Yeah.
one thing,
Yeah.
right? But if you're hurting other people, like, I think that's where Hollywood draws the line, which is why
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey can, like, yeah, stop it, dude, just
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
away.
I don't know what he is
He
doing
keeps
right
on
now.
coming back trying to say, I'm ready to work, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
But Allison, I do think, I'm not ruling it out, dude. I'm not.
My thing is, she was fine on Smallville, but she was never a great actress. Like I don't think she has the talent to to make a real comeback.
Yeah.
So, I think what she'll end up doing, and she'll make good money doing it, is selling her story in some way and, potentially becoming like a motivational speaker or something
Yes.
along those lines.
Yes.
Um, and hopefully we'll be genuine about it. Um, you know, uh, hopefully, but even if she's not, she'll make money off of it. She'll make enough money to survive. But yeah, it's definitely tricky for sure. Um, you want to
Like
give
it's just
people
Lane Maxwell of like that era, sort of based on yeah.
sort of. I mean, not that there should be a scale to this kind of thing, but I definitely wouldn't say she was as bad as just Lane Maxwell. Like that was,
Oh yeah.
like there's definitely a level there, but I mean, she literally brought women in, branded them. Like there are women that will forever have her initials on their
She
body
has a
because
brand. She has a brand
of
too.
Keith Raniere. Yeah.
She has a brand on her too, and that was also
Yeah.
weird. Like he's like, do you have a brand? She's like, yes. And then they moved on. But it was just kind of like, yo, like,
Yeah.
so was she talking to us with her brand in her crotch? But yeah, I think the brand is KKR, Keith Raniere, or
There's
Renee.
two. If you look them up, there's one that he had, but once she was in the fold, her initials are added to it. So like her
She
initials
did
are
not.
part of the
Yeah,
yeah.
I think she denies that. She denies that, but like whatever.
There's photos of that, so she can deny all she wants. But yeah, I mean it's messy. It's messy, and you can claim brainwashing, you can claim
Oh yeah, she actually
blame
used the term brainwash.
grooming. I know I've seen a bunch of stuff where she still, and I know to a degree it's true, but she still kind of blames Kristen Kruk for getting her in. Like,
I
and
remember that. I remember we
yeah,
talked about that in our thing and in our chat, and I was like, dude, like stop it. Now Kristen was in it first, but
yes,
Kristen I think was like deuces like way before it got weird. That's
yeah,
the
because when
issue.
it started, it was, and when everybody started,
Women's empowerment group.
exactly, it was like self-help, women's empowerment, all this, which is, I don't know that I trust a women's empowerment group run by a man, but okay, like it's questionable right there, right?
Well, I
Um,
remember, it was called JNES, I want to say JNES, and I think like all cults, right? They're layers. It's like concentric circles, right? And I think Keith was in like the inner sanctum, so you
yes,
wouldn't even know Keith was like behind all this if you were part of the outer rung. It's just a bunch of women being, "Hey, women, yay!"
yeah,
And Kristen found out, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm out," and she was. And the other thing about it is like they're really good at finding whatever hole you have, I guess, like in your soul that
yep.
like needs
Well,
filling.
and that's what comes out. So you start in this self-help thing and you start talking about all the issues that you have, and that stuff gets documented. They hold on to that, right?
Yes.
And so then when they need something
Collateral.
to use over you, they'll use that. When you look at something like Scientology, there's a lot of stories about how they would take pictures of people. And I think actually Nxivm did this. They would
Oh
take
yeah,
pictures of
naked
people,
ones.
force them to take pictures, and then if they felt like they were going to leave, they're like, "Well, cool, but we're going to release these pictures if you don't stay." And so like it was like levels of like manipulation and blackmail, right? Like it's crazy. So I mean, I get how it was hard to get out, but at the same time, like if you work your way to that inner circle, at some point, yes, you're a bit of a victim, but you're also sort of the bad
It's
guy at that point.
funny. She also said she actually used the words, it's weird being a victim and I think
I think she said
perpetrator or
villain, didn't she?
something.
I thought she said villain.
Um, Maybe she's villain, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like, because I remember thinking to myself as I watched it too, it was like, man, like you were absolutely positioning yourself as like the victim.
Hmm.
And I mean, and then she also talked about Keith Raniere is an evil man and I'm glad he's gone.
Didn't she say
And
there were no evil people?
that's exactly where I was going. And I said that to Sloane. I was like, you just contradicted yourself.
Yeah.
So, so,
Yeah.
ultimately I just see her as human and definitely still broken, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah. 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 Definitely damaged for sure. Um, Yeah, it'll be a climb if
But it
she's
was
gonna.
real.
Yeah,
It was real, and I just thought it was like we were you. If you want to witness two old friends like actually having a connection, that's your podcast.
yep, yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's that show's been going on for so long that there's a good chance if there's somebody that you like, they've been on there. He's done Jonathan Frakes. I mean, he's done all kinds of people. So it's definitely worth catching up on. And if you're a Smallville fan, just side note, they have the Talkville podcast, which he
Right.
runs, and it's him and Tom
Tom
Welling.
Welling.
Yeah, they theirs is basically a rewatch. So if you go back to the beginning of that one, they watch episode one and they talk about it, and then they watch episode two and talk about it. So you get a lot of behind the scenes stories and stuff, and they bring other people on. Um, but yeah, he's really good. He's really good. So um, if you want to find it, go check it out. And one note too that's really cool. He was really good friends with Carrie Fisher.
Oh,
So if you watch his show, a lot of times she'll come up. He'll talk about her a lot. Um, and he just like he knows like randomly like impressive people. Like he's good friends with the lady that owns the LA Lakers.
hmm.
Like just like great friends with her. He's best friends with James Gunn. Like best friends with James Gunn and all kinds of stuff. So he's got stories and he knows people and he's a lot of fun. So check it out. Cool. All right. Well, then we can move on, getting back into more of the stuff that we usually do. Lauren, you saw a play on Broadway this week as a play or musical.
Musical.
Two
Two
strangers.
strangers carry a cake across New York.
I feel like I've heard the name of this before.
So it started out on the West End and it came over maybe within the past week or two. I got tickets for this at least a month or two ago, knowing the male lead, Sam Tutty, who originated the role out in the West End. He was the first Evan Hansen and Dear Evan Hansen before
Hmm.
COVID when it was in London. And this guy has an amazing voice. And when I heard that he was coming to Broadway after having a successful stint and run in London for this new show, I was doing some research and read up on it. And I was like, this sounds really cute. Why not? So, from my understanding, the female lead is different than who was initially playing on the West End. She, I believe, is American. He's British in real life. He plays a British guy named Dougal Todd, who is coming to America, specifically New York, for the first time to attend his father's wedding, a father that he never met. And picking him up from the airport is his father's future wife's sister. And it's a two-person show. And the whole stage, well, you have the band on top, and then you have suitcases in a circular formation with a belt that like revolves around the suitcases. So they'll move the stage and the suitcases and everything that they do, something's in a suitcase or they're able to pull down a suitcase and they'll make it into a different scene. So it's definitely a very low budget type of feel musical. They don't have much of a stage design and changing of scenery, but they do a very good job in terms of like revolving what they have on stage, which is fantastic. So it's two acts, musical comedy, incredibly funny and quick-witted, and I was pretty satisfied with everything. I think this is gonna do very well on Broadway. I mean, especially since it takes place in New York. It's about this guy that comes to New York City. He's never been to New York before. He's excited to meet his dad for the first time because he's heard about his father only up until now. And apparently, his father left his mom when she was pregnant with him. So the male character, his name is Dougal, and the female character's name is Robin. And Robin picks him up from the airport and they take the subway together, and you could tell this guy is completely not used to the New York ways or just very, very different than what he's used to in London, which is interesting given that London is very close and has a lot of similarities to New York after being there twice personally. But nonetheless, Robin takes him to his hotel, which is somewhere downtown, I believe in Chinatown or somewhere downtown. And he's like, I think I'm staying at a really nice resort or in a nice hotel. And she's like, well, how much did you pay for your hotel? And he's like, oh, about $80. And she's like, like, I don't know where you're actually staying. And it's literally just a bed and a light, and it's not great. But they're both in their like mid 20s, and she works at a coffee shop. And you come to find that she's not going to actually be at her sister's wedding. And it's bizarre because he's like, you're not going to your own sister's wedding, but yet you have to run all of these errands for the wedding. So together the next day, he finds the coffee shop that she works at, and he's like, I'm here. Like, why don't you come with me and tour New York before the wedding the next day? Because at that point, he arrives the evening, figure it's like a Friday or whatnot. The whole next day, he has to himself to explore New York City. And then the following day is the wedding. So Robin and him then decide after she's trying to shoo him off, I have to pick up this cake in Brooklyn, and it's a $5,000, $10,000 cake. And he's like, well, let me come with you. So they end up going together, and they're on the subway, and they make it very modern, and they start going through, and her phone starts popping off with matches on a dating app, and he's helping her with her profile, and they talk about how modern dating is definitely difficult and just very relatable, and it's funny. And as you can imagine at this point, they're she's very frustrated with him because she just wants to get all of these errands done for her sister's wedding, and he's just super excited to be in a big city. And he doesn't know his dad. He's just excited to be there, and she's definitely has a different energy level than him. So she's frustrated and annoyed, but I think thankful to have him to help. So they go to Brooklyn, they get the cake, they go back to Tribeca where his father is, and then he asks like, "Well, how old's your sister?" And she's like, "Oh, she's in her 30s." And he's like, "Well, that's interesting because my dad's in his 50s." So you come to find that there's an age gap. And he ends up giving her the cake, and she drops one of the boxes, and it's four different boxes of the cake. So she's frustrated, and she's like, my sister's going to kill me. And he's like, no, that's not going to happen. Let me make things better. Let me get a hot dog. And she ends up talking on the phone to her sister, and she's like, I have the cake. I'll bring it up, etc., but doesn't tell her what happens. And then she says, yeah. And you find out from this phone conversation where you only hear from Robin that Dougal's father doesn't know that he's there. This is all planned by Robin's sister because she found out that he had a son in England, that Dougal was invited by Robin's sister, Melissa, and he's basically there without any knowledge whatsoever that his son's going to be coming to the wedding. So Dougal's thinking that he got a letter from his dad or email, and it's actually not his dad, it's his future mother-in-law. So at that point, you can tell you're like, this is really awkward. He's not going to this wedding, or he's going to go to this wedding, but he doesn't know what's happening. And she doesn't have a great relationship with the sister, but she feels obligated to do all these errands for the sister's wedding, etc. So then you start to realize that his dad is not a good person. And once he gets the hot dog, he comes back, and she's like, you know what? Let's do fun things in New York. You have one night here, like one full night before the wedding tomorrow. Let's do something. So they end up having his father's credit card, and this guy is a multimillionaire. They go out on the town and go dancing. They buy a lot of clothes, and then they end up getting a hotel at the plaza. And the second act, they wake up in the plaza, and she's hungover, he's, I think, a little bit tipsy, etc. And you come to find that his dad is not only like a bad father, but also a bad soon-to-be husband because he's not only cheating on her sister, but he also was having relations with Robin, the
Which
younger
one
sister.
brought? Okay, so both sisters. Yeah.
Both sisters. So that's why you've come to find, all right, so she's actually like not coming to this wedding, and you come to find that's why. So she finally comes out and tells him, look, I know you're coming to this wedding, but your dad's not a good person. And you seem to be a really great person. And I know you're here and this was all my sister's idea, but he doesn't even know you're there. And this is someone who has never even mentioned your existence to me once. And he asks, how do you know? Well, we were in London just a few weeks ago for business, and I was there with him. So you come to find that his father is a horrible person. And long story short, they make this beautiful musical out of everything, and they both end up not going to the wedding. He gets dressed up, is outside the church, and he realizes, you know what? I'm going to spend my last couple hours here with someone who's been a kind soul. I'm going to have dumplings at this place in Chinatown or near my downtown near my hotel. And she is at the dumpling restaurant. And that's how they like end the show. And you come to find that like, they lead you to think, all right, they'll have a special time together and they form a really beautiful bond, which may be romantic down the line. You don't know, but it's nice how like they form this connection after being put in a situation where, she was just given orders and being told by her sister, you have to bring my future husband's son to this wedding. And then he has no clue. And I think she feels this amount of guilt. And yeah, they end up both not going to the wedding after all that. So yeah.
Did the older sister know that Robin was?
Yeah. I think that's why the whole wedding thing, yes, I believe so.
But he's
Weird.
rich, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
LOL, Kevin.
So, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want the money, you let some things go. For as good or bad as it is. What's really cool, actually, so the website that you put in our chat it's twostrangersmusical.com. The entire soundtrack is actually on the website. So you can listen. You don't even have to like go download it. You don't have to, do anything. It's just right there,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So if you want to check it out, you can. And it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, it's a musical comedy. I know if this dude played Evan Hansen and did it well, then he can sing. Like that's just not.
He was one of the best voices I think I've heard all year long. Like that, and then I go to shows pretty
Yeah.
frequently. My friend who was sitting next to me, she was like, he sounds amazing. And I told her, I was like, this guy has some good pipes on him. And there are people in Broadway that sound fine and have good acting capabilities. This guy can sing, can act. He was doing really good impressions of people in New York where you're like, wow, this guy is incredibly talented, Sam Tutty. So I knew from like listening to his voice on YouTube, having him sing, they had this one, this is one of my like go-to YouTube um clips. They have all four Dear Evan Hansen or all four Evan Hansens back in 2019 sang one of the songs together. They have Andrew Barth Feldman, who was in No Hard Feelings, and Kevin saw it. I don't know if Andrew saw it. The one with Jennifer Lawrence, who plays
Yeah.
the kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
He played Evan Hansen in late 2019, early 2020. So he was on a stage singing Forever with Sam Tutty, and then they had the guy who was on the touring version of Evan Hansen, and then the guy from Toronto from that production. So all four of them, all four Evans singing for Forever together, and they all have such really great voices. And I just, when this came out and it was announced that Sam Tutty was going to be in it, I was like, I have to see this. And yeah, no question, he was impressive to see on stage. 100%. And then this clearly did very well. And as you may know at this point, when things perform well in the US, they'll eventually go to the West End and vice versa. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is going to do very well. And tickets are super cheap right now for it too. I mean, This was posted maybe in September, and I got 2-for-1 tickets. I think my friend and I spent no more than $70, and we were like orchestra, but had fantastic seats. And even now, I'm seeing like I get alerts every day on the app for either cancellation or the box office will send alerts for last minute tickets like an hour before. I'm seeing as low as like 40, $50 within an hour before, and the seats are solid. So
That's nice.
I think it's, before people really know about it, if you can see it, go see it. I think it's a great show. It has a New York theme, and what's better than being in New York City and have a New York theme musical? And it's modern too. Talks about modern dating and relationships and you
Does it
know
feel like something that they could spin into a movie? I know I asked this about a musical that you watched like last time too, but does it feel like something they could turn into a movie if they wanted to?
100% this type of musical they certainly can turn into a movie for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like because it felt like for a little while we were seeing more musicals start to kind of pop up in movies than we had in a while,
Yeah.
and that seems to have faded out. Like I was kind of wondering if musicals and stuff were gonna break out, um,
Right.
but they kind of haven't. Like was it West Side Story was the last one I can really think of that was a stage musical brought to the screen.
And that didn't really do very well, did it? I think was Spielberg behind that one.
Yeah,
Spielberg.
Spielberg's behind it, but it's tough because West Side Story is such an old musical, and
Yeah.
just musically speaking, it feels
Remake,
old.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
like in the
it's
Heights, that was the perfect show to do to turn from musical to movie. I think same thing here. They could do a lot with the movie because it's all throughout New York City.
yeah,
But was that a Lin-Manuel in
yes,
the Heights?
That was
Okay.
like
the Heights, yeah,
And that didn't really do that well either, did it?
movie
the
wise.
movie,
As far
like
as like box office.
Well, first of all, this was during COVID, so it actually hit Disney Plus.
mm.
And so in the Heights never made it. Yeah. So I mean, for me, whenever something doesn't catch on, it's usually kind of like
Well, it
and,
was
mu-
the
and
time I beg to differ, Andrew, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, both from the critics and from the audience.
I'm talking about money.
yeah,
Did it make money?
it's really tricky because like like really like in the last I don't know like 2 decades, the only really successful musical I can think of in the theaters, and it makes me sad to say, has been the Mamma Mia movies.
I was gonna
Those
say
have done.
Wicked.
Oh, okay, yeah, very true. Duh.
So to me, it's
How
like,
about,
I mean,
how about The Greatest
Wick
Showman? That one made a good amount of money too.
fair.
Yeah,
So that's what
but
I'm
that went the other
saying.
way, right? Like that went from movie to stage versus
Will
stage
be
to
from
movie, right?
stage, but just musical,
Oh,
sure.
thank you, Kevin. Yeah. So basically, I'm just trying to like, I was just trying to answer your question about like why didn't musicals like catch on? And it's usually always be why anything doesn't catch on because it has to be commercially successful, otherwise it can't, it's not sustainable.
It's
Um,
definitely a niche audience, so it's really hard to get like uh,
but is
greatest.
it?
Yeah, I mean, Greatest Showman, right? You got and nobody had heard of it, but you got Hugh Jackman, you got Robert Pattinson, you got Zendaya. Like you put people into the
Zac
show that people
Efron.
want to go see. Yeah, Zac Efron. Like, oh, I
Same.
said Robert Pattinson, but it
Yeah.
was Zac Efron.
To me,
Um,
here's my argument. I think musicals are just like superhero movies. It's execution. Okay,
oh,
Wicked is a musical. It's like a traditional musical that was huge in what, the 2000s? And
but it's
now
still huge. Like it still sells out.
yeah, it's ginormous, right? So it's like I think it's just like, you just have to have the right talent making the movie. And unfortunately, Spielberg was hot in the 80s and the 90s and even the 2000s, but he hasn't really done anything since. Not
Well, and
really.
I just think a musical's out of his wheelhouse. Like you have to balance the splash and the splendor of putting it on screen, with still telling a good story and making it feel. Stage is easier because you're already giving up some of the reality,
Right.
right? Like when you put it on stage, your imagination is doing more work no matter what. When you put it on film, they have to do that. Like they feel like they have to do everything because now you're actually shooting in New York City.
Hmm.
So, all these things have to be right. So it definitely, it is a harder thing to do. Like, and I've always said, like, if you go to a show that has great special effects, a stage show that has great special effects, like that's actual magic. Like, there's crazy stuff that happens on stage that's
Hmm.
just like unbelievable. But like when you see it in the movie, it's just like every other thing you've seen. So like some of that spectacle is taken away. I think Wicked actually did a great job taking this thing that's very fantastical and making it look incredible uh, in the movie. And part of that, I think, is because it's not a real place, right?
Man, what a checkered past. All right, so what I thought. So John Chu did do Wicked, right?
Yep.
He also did In the Heights. He also did, of course, he's known for Crazy Rich Asians, but
Hmm.
he also did G.I. Joe
Yep.
Retaliation. So I
Yep.
always thought of John Chu as an action director, and I was trying to remember why I thought of him as an action director.
Yep.
It was G.I. Joe. But look, Justin Bieber videos, he had
Yep.
Gem and the Holograms, which tanked. And I think
Yes.
they should have done that in 2000 with Britney and Christina. Duh. Anyway, it's like, and then lots of, but Step Up and, Step Up, like all these, like, dancing is his jam,
Well,
clearly.
so a lot of people,
Anything with
though,
movement is
a
his
lot of
jam.
people come from music and become very successful directors. So you have like
David Fincher, all those guys. Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson. If you look at what he's directed,
Mhm.
like he's got like 48 things listed, and like 90% of them are music videos.
Yeah. No.
Even like
Propaganda films.
recently,
Yeah.
like so, you know, I think, and I think having that background probably helps John Chu, where Steven Spielberg does not have a musical background,
Right.
right? I mean, yes, West Side Story was an established musical, right? But it's also established musical a long time ago. Like this thing gets West Side Story gets done in like every high school
Yep.
across the country every like 8 years. Like it's not really special anymore.
Yeah.
It's like Phantom finally burned out too. Like Phantom ran forever, and now Phantom of the Opera is not that big of a deal anymore. Um,
Is Hamilton still a big deal?
at the
It still
Broadway
is?
box office,
Okay.
yeah. Oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna pay out the nose to go see
So I was
Hamilton.
just thinking, why don't you just redo Hamilton? Like, why don't I mean, I think musicals are mass appeal. If they weren't mass appeal, be there wouldn't be a Broadway, there wouldn't be a West End. I think
But
it's just a
but
matter of getting the
Broadway's
right
in one
people.
location.
Well, they have Chicago too, actually.
Sure,
Um,
sure, but I mean, okay, and they have LA, but still,
yeah.
that's three locations across the country. Whereas in a movie theater, you've got to get people into every single theater to be successful.
Right. But the thing is, movie theaters are suffering because, again, people like yourself can't be arsed to go
But
to the theater
but
because they can
even
watch it at
before but
home.
even
But you
before
can't watch a
COVID,
musical at home, right? So to me, it's like, again, I don't, I'm actually defending the genre. I'm saying I think the genre has life. Wicked is proof. You just need to do it the right way. You just have to execute properly and have the right
Most
start.
shows
It's
don't
everything.
make
It's
that
casting,
long though,
it's
Andrew.
directing, all that stuff.
Yeah, you have shows like Wicked that it's been 20 years. Very, it's rare that a show can last that long.
Mhm.
Eventually it's going to gas out and it's going to
Remember
not make enough
Cats?
money.
That was a disaster.
oh yeah, that was because again, they tried to take something that when you put it on stage is, I mean, granted, the musical kind of sucks
It
anyways,
made me think
but
of furries. But yes, the
yeah,
musical was terrible too. I saw it live.
but the musical is like the stage is more sparse. You're using your imagination. So you're imagining these people as cats, and that's great. When you put it on film with CGI to make it people look like cats, it's fucking terrifying. Like, I'm sorry. Like that was just bad. Like,
I remember Taylor
so
Swift and the
yeah, I mean, so
commercials.
I still need to see it. I still want to see it. I
no,
never
you don't.
Yes,
Nobody
I
does.
do. I still want to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I do
See
want to
to
see it.
see the musical, like actually see it,
The,
like
the
in
musical or the
person or the
movie?
movie.
Honestly, both. But I know everyone's saying like the movie sucks, but that's also why I kind of want to see it because I'm like, how bad is it? Is it just because of the CGI? I just remember they're like, oh my God, they have James Corden as like this big cat suit, like in this. Yeah.
I remember, that's the thing. Living in New York, as you can imagine, everybody who visits New York, because I got a lot of visitors, they all wanted to see a show. So
Right.
yes, I did see Cats. I remember thinking two things. One, these dancers are athletic as hell, and I
Yes.
admire they're superheroes, straight up. They're real life superheroes. That's number one. Number two, we all looked at each other and was like, what was that about? Like we
Yeah.
legitimately, I remember Jellicle cats and like it was like, what is this? Like we were like, this. Oh well, we saw it. Bucket list next.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
was all
Yeah.
like, and you know they're two women like classy women from Chicago, and they were like, what did we watch?
Yeah. What have we
But
done?
but again the physicality was
Oh yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I think musicals are a hard sell. They still are in the theater because, to be fair, there's a lot of dudes out there that are like, bro, I'd never see a musical. Like, like you've got to get through that audience. And like I said, Wicked and Phantom, they did Les Mis as a
That's
movie.
right.
And
Like,
Miz was fantastic as a movie.
but those were all brilliantly written, and they were very they were
Oh,
insanely
passionate.
successful on Broadway. Right. And Hamilton got it right because they said we cannot make this into an actual movie. They're like what it is on stage would not translate to a movie very well. So what they did is they just literally recorded it
Mhm.
in the theater and then put it on Disney Plus. They're like
Right.
go watch it there because it wouldn't work as a movie.
Yeah.
You know what else did really well? Oh yeah, Les Mis is very well. $61 61 million
$61.
dollar 61 million budget, 442 million box office. That was great. So again, I don't think
But
we
that's
cannot
star
count
power
them
too,
out.
though. Star
What?
power too. There was a lot of people in that movie.
Yep.
Sure. And but then let's go back to the Greece. I mean, Greece like was like 1978. That was like I think John Travolta's like second big hit, right? His
Yeah.
first big hit was what's it
Saturday
called?
Night Fever.
Thank you.
Saturday
Yeah,
And then right
but
after that, Greece.
I feel like movies around like that involved music back then were more popular.
They were Jesus
Like
Christ Superstar, Hair,
yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah,
Hair
and
was also a musical first, yeah. Uh-huh.
yep. Yeah, so it's just a tougher sell. It has to be the right product at the right time by the right person.
Yes.
And I
Right
think
cast. People want
and
to see
Yes.
Ariana
yeah,
Grande. People want to see Cynthia Erivo.
and you see it on Broadway. I mean, new musicals come out all the time and they just fade away. Right? Like there's a lot of musicals and some of them are actually good, like fundamentally good. They just don't have that thing that makes them great
Yeah.
or that makes them the box office draw, right? So it's like one of my favorite musicals that nobody ever talks about is Jekyll and Hyde. It lasted for a while. It even had a national tour, and then it just faded away, right? And so it's like there's still a magic to it, and I think we're so used to movies as movies
Right.
that so many bad movies get made and still make it to the theater.
Right.
Um, but musicals to the screen are more rare.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago
Uh,
was the best picture. I think that's
mhm.
still that one.
Chicago's another, but that one, great cast.
Yeah.
You put the names in there. Like when you look at West Side Story, what's her name? Um, whose name I can't even remember, Snow White. She was not a big name. Like there
Yeah.
was no big name in that.
Yeah.
In the Heights, no really big names.
Is she done? Is Snow White done? Is like has her star been dulled?
No, I mean I think it's dulled a
Rachel
little bit, but I don't think
Zegler.
she's done.
I want to see what she's coming up with next. I think Y2K
Um,
last thing.
oh, that
Are we
movie sucked.
digressing?
Yeah, yes, we are. We we ought to move on. We tangented our little brains out. So, but back to Two Strangers. Check it out. The website twostrangersmusical.com has the soundtrack. So if you're curious at all, listen to it. It's got basically 45 minutes of music right there. So half of the show is just right there for you to check out. And if you're in New York, give it a shot. Um, I will quickly take us down a much darker path. Um, throughout the last several months, I've kind of heard the buzz about a horror flick called Shelby Oaks, and it was like I was hearing it buzzed about kind of in the way that um, Blair Witch was. And so like a lot of people were saying this movie was crazy scary. Um, so I was like, excited for it to come out. And then of course it came out. It's only $10 to rent. So I'm like, screw it, I'm going to do it. And then like as I'm renting it, I go check it out on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like a 56%. And I was like, well, shit. And then on IMDb, like it's not particularly great. Like it's not,
5.6
yeah,
out
yeah.
of
So
10.
I was like, well, shit. So I'll watch it. And so overall, it's not that bad. Even for a horror movie, it's fine. It gets a little cliched as it goes through. But so the gist of this story is this woman, her sister has gone missing, and her sister's been missing for several years. I think it might be 5 years in the story, but the sister was a paranormal investigator, and she disappeared in this town called Shelby Oaks that the two sisters and their mom used to visit when they were young. The town is completely run down and shut down. It had an amusement park that is now completely closed down. And and so this woman, she's filming a documentary about her sister who has gone missing. And then while they're filming that, this man comes to the door and says something like, "She finally let me go," and he shoots himself in the head, kills himself right there. And in his hand is a tape that says Shelby Oaks on it. And so the sister that was making the documentary in private watches this tape that she doesn't tell the police exists. Right? This dude shoots himself, so she grabs the tape before the cops show up to do the autopsy and all their stuff, investigation. And this shows, um, basically you watch the video and it shows kind of this other side of what happened when she went missing, and it looks like maybe she's still alive. And so the sister now decides to go to Shelby Oaks and figure out what happened to her sister. Um, and then it like I said, near the end, it kind of starts getting a little cliched. We've kind of got a little mini cult where, rather than being a full-on cult, it's like two people worshiping the devil. Like it's almost kind of ripped from the end of what's the really good one? Starts with an H. Uh, God damn it, Hereditary. Like in Hereditary, you've got the cabin. They're talking about not the cabin, the tree house, and they're talking about
Amon.
yeah, right. And this kind of has that same like demon kind of thing to it. But like starting with all that, like the acting is fine. There probably could have been more jump scares. Like it's creepy enough in parts, but it certainly feels corny. And where I think a few places this really went wrong is the way that it opens. It starts to sell itself like it's going to be a found footage movie, right? And we all know that like the most successful found footage movie of all time is Blair Witch Project. And that movie not only is entirely from the angle of the people, that it's about, you also never ever ever see the thing that is bad, right? And that is one of the things that made that movie so brilliant and so creepy. Um, is you weren't shown the monster. Like your brain had to come up with the monster for that entire movie. Um, so this movie it starts out and it feels like it's going to be found footage, like it's showing all the stuff, talk, and then all of a sudden it cuts. It kind of takes you back, and then it's all of a sudden it's a documentary where the sister's talking about this stuff, and then now she's being interviewed. So now we're not in the found footage part anymore. Now we're having the sister in the documentary. So you're like, okay, so this is a documentary, a mockumentary kind of thing, whatever. Well, 10 minutes into that, we're done with that, and now we're in a movie. So I'm like, well, it's like what genre are you trying to make, right? And then for a while it cruises on like that, and like I said, it has good jump scares. It's scary enough. There's some really interesting twists and stuff, and then you get to the point where she's bumping into, the truly evil things, and you start to see them, and they're just like, you actually see the demon too much. Like in Hereditary, when you can like see the bad thing, it's kind of off in the corner, right? Like it's not in your face, so it doesn't look bad. And in this, it just feels a little cheesy. Like so it doesn't work, and it kind of takes you out of it. And then like the twist at the very end, just isn't that great. I mean, it's kind of fun for a horror movie, but it's really not great. And so there's just a lot of things that I if it ever becomes hits a streaming service where you're not paying for it, I would say give it a watch and see if you like it. I would not pay the $10 to rent it right now. If it was $5 to rent and you had a couple friends with you, sure. But I think it was a good idea, good presentation, but overall it's very flawed. Now it was produced by Mike Flanagan. Um,
Executive produce. I so I'm reading
y-
that, and you took my thunder.
yeah,
Keep
yeah,
going. Yeah.
and he did not direct it, and for I think this guy that did direct it, I think this is his directorial debut.
It is. Let me jump in. It was an independent production. It was crowdfunded through Kickstarter. By March 2022, it had become the most funded horror film on the platform after raising $650,000. It debuted at the 28th Fantasia International Film Festival on July 20th, 2024. And that's when Mike Flanagan said, huh. So he got attached to it, but it was re-edited and went through some reshoots before it was released this year. So
I'd be
even though
really
you're
curious
like,
to see
Mike
that
didn't
original
direct it,
product. Yeah,
like Mike had something to do with
yeah.
it.
Well, I'd be really curious to see the original product,
Yeah.
because I feel like with less of a budget
Yeah, might have
and
been
less
better.
special effects and some of that stuff, I think it probably would have been better. Kind of like we're talking about Broadway and movies, right? Like when you leave things to the imagination, they are more effective than if you put them on screen poorly.
Hence Blair
Uh,
Witch. Dude, I remember, okay, so I remember back in, I want to say it was 2001 when Blair Witch 2 came out. Yo, dude,
oh, that movie was
we were
disappointing as
so
hell.
mad. Like the audience were like, what the is this
So if
shit?
you go back and watch it now, knowing what it is, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as it
The second
felt.
movie?
Yes,
Okay.
because it was such a disappointment that that just made it bad, right? Like there was no redeeming that movie at the time because the original Blair Witch was arguably perfect. Like it
Yeah.
really was
It
such an incredible thing. And I can tell you, like scary movies, even back then, didn't scare me that much. But dude, I was living on top of a mountain in the woods. And I came home and I was like, I had to walk from my car in the dark to my front door, and I was like, I'm so fucked. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, and that movie was brilliant. So when Blair Witch 2 came out and they're like, yeah, it's not found footage, it's this, this, and this, it didn't really work. Like, and people were very disappointed because it didn't feel like the same formula at all. It didn't feel like it was attached, like really connected at all.
it felt like a cash grab.
And
And
and to be fair, like this is the other thing. Blair Witch was probably the single best marketed film
yes,
ever.
ever.
Like it was just brilliant. Like people were going to see that movie still believing it was real.
Yes. That was
Like,
such a weird thing. Like, again, Lauren, the internet was like in infancy.
yes.
And like, so I remember we feeling a little weird. Like, are we watching a snuff film right now? Like, it was so weird. Like, I
What
hope
year was
this is,
that?
what's that?
What year was this?
99.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would have been what, 8? So definitely not eligible to watch. But yeah, it was just like MTV was in on it too. MTV
Yeah.
was like showing like MTV News. Like it was like they were playing as if it was real. It was
It
crazy.
it was absolutely it was so brilliantly marketed. It was made for so very little money because the people carried their own cameras. So, they filmed it and then they just used that. There
But
was
the
no
sad
second and third takes and stuff.
but you said it made so much money that the sad thing, as we all know, is like the actors themselves didn't get diddly
Made
squat.
nothing. They got totally screwed because for them it was like a little project, right? And then when it got, I think it was Lionsgate that bought it, it just didn't contract them to anything. And
Yeah.
so when it hit the box office, it was a monstrosity. It absolutely, I think it percentage wise it's one of the top
It's still
like
maybe the most
most
profitable movies of
profitable
all
movies of
time.
all
Yeah,
time.
I believe it.
Um, and yeah, and so a lot of movies right after that tried to jump onto the found footage thing, which had been done before, but
Hmm.
this was by far the most successful. And nobody really got it right. Like Paranormal Activity was close, especially with its first
I was
one.
actually going to say that might actually be the one that's
Yeah.
the most profitable of all time.
It's close for sure. If
Yeah.
if if it's not if it wasn't
If it wasn't Blair Witch, yeah.
Blair Witch, yeah. But that one jumped on that and did okay. But after that, like found footage hasn't really worked. And so when this one kicked off and it was found footage, it seemed like it was kind of good and I was excited about it. And then it's like, wait, nope, 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 we're just doing a documentary about it. And I was like, okay, so we can Spinal Tap this thing and do a mockumentary about, something horrible and, whatever. And then it just turned into a movie.
I know you hate AI. So I'll do my AI voice. The 2007 film Paranormal Activity is the most profitable movie ever based on its return on investment with a budget of just 15,000 and a worldwide gross of approximately 194 million. This staggering profit is calculated to be a return of over 1,286,000% on the production budget alone, not including marketing costs, though its final gross made a landmark in low budget filmmaking. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
let me see how much Blair Witch made.
Yeah. I'd be curious about that and see what the budget is. But yeah, paranormal activity. But paranormal activity has the same advantage, right? You set up cameras and then they just never move. So you film everything from there. You don't have a camera crew. You do deal with a few special effects here and there. But for the most part, it's just people moving around the house. And so,
Its budget was 60,000
for Blair Witch,
um for Blair Witch, and it made 248. So it made more than Paranormal, but
but it
because
costs
the
more.
budget was higher, that's it. But they're neck and neck.
Yeah, they're very
So
close. Like actual dollar wise, they're very close. If anything, Blair Witch made more money based on
yes.
its original budget, but when you look at the percentages, Paranormal Activity is more successful.
Yeah.
Um, one of the cool things about Blair Witch too is that a lot of the acting was improvised. They weren't given scripts; they were given kind of guidelines for the day. And so, like, when you watch that movie and they're hearing things in the woods, that's the first time they're hearing those things. So their reactions to those things
For real.
are a little real. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things about it that were really unique, and um, yeah, it's been really hard to replicate. And so, again, like I said, like when this movie started out feeling like it was going to be that, I was actually kind of into it. I was like, cool, I'll take a newfound footage like this. Look, sounds kind of cool or whatever. And the acting in it was good. So I was like, all right. And then all of a sudden it was a documentary. I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And then it was just a movie. And I was like, well, shit. So like, and it was okay. As soon as it became a movie, it was just okay. And then it kind of falls off. So like I said, if it hits like an HBO or a Paramount Plus or whatever, and you've got that particular service, give it a watch. It's not the worst movie ever made. I think it's better than the
Skinamarink.
Yes, it is absolutely better than Skinamarink. I would rather stab myself in the eye than watch Skinamarink ever again. That movie was garbage. And anybody who tells me that's scary, I'm like, you're an idiot.
So is the stabbing yourself in the eye like a subtle reference to Derry? We don't have to talk about it, but I just gotta
No,
say
that's what I was
anything
going to transition
eye-ish.
to that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, Shelby Oaks. Watch it when it's free. Don't bother paying for it right now. It's not that bad. Um, so to close out the show, the latest episode of It, Welcome to Derry, was last Sunday. It was episode 4, right?
Hmm.
We're 4 episodes in. I think there's 8 episodes total.
Yep.
So we're at the halfway mark. Um, and this one had its moments. The eyeball moment was creepy as balls. But what was your take on this one?
Well, first of all, I'll say I typed in it, welcome to Derry, a balloon, no lie, floated up on the screen on my Google search. And
Yep.
now I have these 3 buttons with one's a balloon, one's an X, and one's something else. Share this experience. Yo, I'm sharing experience. That's awesome. I got chill though. This actually was probably one of my favorite episodes, just because actually I know why. And this is the thing about me. I love context. I love historical context.
Hmm.
And this
That's right.
episode totally told the story of like the Native Americans who were living in Maine who had encountered it. It finally gave me the backstory that you already knew. I remember you said he's an extraterrestrial. And yeah, it was cool just seeing how this one kid just tells the story of like a meteor or something that crashes on Earth. And it was a little Kal-El-ish because apparently like the ship that he came in or whatever he came in, maybe it was he was trapped in it. The shards of that ship are the only things that can hurt him. The same way, the only thing that can hurt Superman is pieces of
On.
kryptonite.
Hmm.
Exactly. And then just going through the story of how the Native Americans kind of figure out how to like fight the thing, not kill it, trap it,
Trap it.
and then all the settlers came in and were like, yeah, F you, we don't care. Then got their asses handed to them. And I mean, it was just like, that's cool. I love that cool lore. And from a girl power perspective, it was like the women Indians
Yep.
were like
Yep.
kicking ass and like,
Yep.
they were like the fighters and leaders. And I shoot, if they, it's not necessary, but I would absolutely be down for like a movie about that because it
Yeah,
was just a
for
really cool
sure.
story. And it
And
makes you, sorry, it makes you like the eras are cool, man. Like that was just an era and like an era that lasted hundreds of years. So it's like there's so much world more to this world. We all know this, but it's one thing to know it and it's another thing to actually kind of live it and breathe it and experience it. And yes, I didn't live it and breathe and experience it, but it was closer than just knowing by having it
yeah.
depicted. I am so sorry. I just got excited.
Sorry.
Um,
Well, two things real quick. Number one, I got to toot my own horn. I did predict that it was when the white people came in and took over
yes,
that
you
area
did.
is when things went to shit.
You
And
did.
I called that before this episode, so pat myself on the back. And then number two, what you just said about different eras making for good stories. In our chat, we talked about Tyler Sheridan and how Yellowstone and all of Tyler Sheridan's shows that were related to that are from different eras, and they were very, very successful. And it was very interesting to see this family line come down. So you have Yellowstone, which was the first one set in modern day. And then the next one that came out with, I think, was 1883. And so that takes you all the way back to 1800s. You're dealing settlers and Native Americans and all that stuff. And then you jump to 1923 with Harrison Ford, and that's the Great Depression and all that. So you take these stories that are the family line, but tell different stories, and it's very successful. So that's what kind of the same thing they're doing with it here. Um, and it's I agree. Like I would totally watch that movie because I think there was a moment in their story where they actually hadn't trapped it, um, but it was kind of staying in its lane, and so they knew to
Yes.
avoid it, and everybody was cool. And then it was
Yes.
when the settlers showed up
You
that
know what it reminded me of? I'm sorry, I keep going there. It reminded me of like AOT. It was like technically from their perspective, they won, right? So like he was trapped, the little pillars were there, they buried the things in the shards in the ground, and he was trapped. And that's it, right? But then when the settlers come in, it's like the end of AOT when like all of a sudden the island was peaceful, but then also the war starts and the cycle starts again.
yeah,
And it's like, so it's just nothing is permanent. But from their perspective, like they kind of won. She was a hero. She trapped
yeah,
that fucking asshole, pardon my French, because it is an asshole. Like,
yes,
holy crap. Like he eats people. Like I'm learning more and more. That's what he just feeds on you. And when
hmm
he eats you, then he gets more powerful. And the other thing that I thought was really effing cool was how in the it world, like those Native Americans actually saved the world. Had they not like contained him, like he just would have kept on eating and growing and would have probably taken over Earth.
yep,
So I think man, frankly, even though it movies have been around for a long time, I think this show, in my opinion, because I haven't read the books, is doing a really good job of like actually like educating you on why Pennywise sucks and why you should fear him. And man, and then this is where I just kind of go ranty again. Like the kid that I kind of don't like, I saw the preview, so apparently she's gonna turn, but I'm eye stuff. Like,
that was crazy, crazy,
take it
crazy.
away, man.
Yeah, just the way that. it feeds on the things that weird you out and scare you and all that, right? And so I mean, it was basically a hallucination, right? Like she wasn't actually like her eyeballs weren't coming out of her head, but she put her face into a buzzsaw, right? Because she felt like she needed to cut these things off. Like, and it was gruesome and crazy and just over the top nastiness, right? Um, and and then the worst part is this poor girl goes in to save her, and everybody walks in and it looks like she's trying to attack her. So now this
But
poor
one of
girl,
her eyes is busted, dude.
yeah, but the girl was sitting over her with a
Yeah,
screwdriver in her
all
hand.
bloody.
Yeah. And so like it just I mean it looked so bad for her. So she's gonna about to have a shitty episode. But I
Wait,
think another thing that's cool too is this is like this whole season is totally the folly of man, right? Like the whole reason that anybody's as involved with Pennywise as they are is because the US government is looking to use it as a weapon. And you're just like that's the stupidest idea you could ever have. And it's like but it's like the atomic bomb, right? You have this thing that is so powerful, you really should not use it, right? Like nuclear weapons should not be used. Bad idea. Like the amount of chaos that they will cause. You go back to the whatever House of Dynamite. The chaos that ensues when you use just one is crazy.
no one should have Titans. It's all connected. It's all connected. Some things are just too destructive to be
Yep.
trusted in the hands of anyone.
Yep. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, keep on.
I was gonna say it's an awesome show. Like they're doing a fantastic job with this.
So Laura, I know that like horror is not your jam, and you definitely will never watch Hereditary. But you did watch Midsummer. But yeah, Hereditary is not your jam.
Saw both It movies.
Oh, so then you should totally watch this show.
Is
Yeah.
it
I was
anything
trying to tell
scary?
somebody, like I was telling somebody when a class 95 about the show, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't handle kids like getting hurt." And I said immediately, I said, "Okay, this is
It's
a
not for
no-fly
you.
zone." She laughed. I
Yeah.
was just like, "It is absolutely a no-fly zone for you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I might give it a watch. We'll see. I know you said the first episode really just sets the bar like super.
I'm hard to shock. I was
Yeah,
shocked.
you were shocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It does a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
Uh,
and
nobody's safe, essentially.
no.
That's what I got.
yeah, in the first episode, be careful who you fall in love with because they may not be there the next
Have no
episode.
attachment to anybody.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
thought the
was
movies were
like,
very good. I did
Mhm.
enjoy them. The first one more so than the second one. I didn't not like the second one, but I don't know. With them growing up and stuff, it was one of those things where I was like, yeah,
The novel is interesting because it goes back and forth, right? So
between
as you
the
read
two,
it, what's that?
between the first and second film.
The first and second film are the problem with making it into a movie
Oh,
is it's like 1,000 pages long. It is a tome, like it is a big ass book. And so in the book, it goes back and forth. So you see them as adults, then you see them as kids, and it goes back and forth and tells their story of the two different times that they fought Pennywise. Um,
right.
and the movies, when they did the mini series back in the 90s, I think it was with Tim Curry, fucking amazing Pennywise, by the way. Um, it bounced back and forth also. So you saw them as adults, you saw them as kids, and you got that story that way. The movies that just came out, which are also phenomenal, um, you have the kids movie, which is the first one, and then you have the adults in the second one, and it doesn't really bounce back and forth, which I think is a fine way to tell it if you're going to tell it as movies, because otherwise there's no clear like cutting off point in the middle if you're bouncing back and forth. Whereas
right.
if you tell the kid story and then the adult story, you have a cutoff point from when the kid story is done and the adult story begins. Um, but
Totally random, but I think the best back and forth film I've ever seen, and again, I haven't seen all the films, but I guess it's totally random, but I have to say it, Godfather Part Two. Have you seen that movie?
a long time ago, yeah,
A long
yeah,
time. Okay, yeah, but it does a good job because you see Robert De Niro as Vito Corleone in like I think 40 years ago, and then it flashes forward to what's his name?
yeah.
Michael Corleone, played by Al Pacino. Anyway, If you haven't seen Godfather Part Two, see Godfather Part Two. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, the show's great. It's cranking along. I'm super stoked to see where the rest of it goes. Um,
Did
it's
you
every
have
week through.
any writing capability or like contributions, Stephen King, with this series?
No,
Or no? This is just they
no.
created their own.
They took a lot of things that are known, um, and they just expounded upon them.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and one of the characters in this is Dick Hallorann, who is in The Shining. Um, he's the one that actually comes up with the term shining. But that character, he talks about his life in Derry and he talks about being in the military in Derry. And so now we're seeing him in this in the military in Derry. So it's like one thing that Stephen King does also is he blends all of his stories together. So you have the Dark Tower series. If you look, you can find maps out there of how his stories intertwine, and a good 70 to 80% of them are related to the Dark Tower specifically. And so he is an amazing storyteller in that regard. And so it's very easy to pull things from his other books into this because they're already there. Like we talked about the Indian burial ground and Indians and all that because that's from Pet Cemetery. They talk about that in Pet Cemetery. And so, there's a lot of stuff you can pull from his storytelling.
And I thought one of the cool things I caught was so basically one of the girls' dads is in jail because he happens to be the wrong shade at the wrong
Hmm.
time in the wrong town, of course, which is Derry. And when civil rights wife is like interrogating him or just trying to get him to admit something, he actually says, "So I won't have to go to Shawshank." And
Yep.
when he
Yep.
said that, I was like, "That's so fucking cool!"
Yep.
Like that's just like Shawshank Redemption is in this universe. I love
And
that. That's
Yep.
just so dope.
Shawshank takes place in Maine, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, if it's got Stephen King's name on it, there's a 99% chance it takes place in Maine. The
That's
Shining is one of the only ones that doesn't.
that's in Colorado, you said, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, good to
So I
know.
thought that was cool.
Um, but
That's
I
pretty.
yeah,
thought for sure it was like I was with a man, but when he actually admitted what it was,
yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I can see why you're not
Yeah,
excited."
those are the only two options, right? Like it had to be either he was with a dude or he's with a white woman, and either way,
Married white
married white
woman.
woman. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff will get you in a little bit of trouble back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, but yeah, no, really great. 4 episodes to go. I mean, it is a snowball going down a hill. It's just getting better and better.
And was
So,
this the first episode where you get to see Bill Skarsgård?
did he show up in this one?
I'm pretty sure, but I mean, he showed not really, but I know in the next one, he actually has speaking voices and everything. Like,
We did see him as a shadow, basically,
yeah.
like kind of off to this, like
But then, no, but
the
also,
dark.
remember when the kid's looking in the telescope and then you see him like staring right at him, and the
Hmm.
kid's like, "Ah."
Yeah.
So like he's creeping up, but now he's finally saying creepy shit like in the next episode. Like, I wonder how you taste. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's and that's another testament. Like we haven't seen Pennywise as we're used to seeing Pennywise
Right.
at all for 4 episodes. Really, I mean, he like you said showed up a little bit in this last one, but for the most part, like he's not there as Pennywise. He's just an evil thing happening in this town, and I think that makes it
Talk about it, or it's almost like it's like they're kind of just living
they
life and they know something's weird, but they don't talk about it with one another.
yeah the backstory really is that Pennywise awakens every 27
27
years
27 years.
and just bad shit happens in town. Kids go missing, all this stuff happens. But when he goes back into hibernation, people sort of forget what happened.
Yeah,
And
you
if
mentioned
you leave Derry, you completely forget what happened. And so, like all of these events that are horrible just kind of aren't that horrible because nobody knows that they really happened. And so
that lost family members. That's not something that they remember.
they remember it as they went missing or that they died or something like that. Like it's they don't remember it in the context of like this evil monster came in and ate up our town, right? Like so it's just a kind of place where bad shit kind of just happens sometimes. And so that's another thing that makes the story really interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah. super good. Like it is it is a well-made show. And it's HBO, so you expect it, but I mean, it is a well-made show. They did a
Amen.
good job on it. And the husband and wife duo that are making it, I like them. And Andrew, have you started watching the post show
I did.
stuff?
So I absolutely watched the post show for this episode just because I was into it. And yeah, no, it was I mean, it was good. I'm not sure if there's anything you wanted to like talk about particularly, but
Nah.
okay, yeah. But it was good. Yeah, so I'm watching
Yeah,
it.
it's just a good watch. It's good to see the kind of thinking that goes into the show. And I think, Lauren, for you, if you watch the show and you don't understand the history as much, it's a little interesting to see how they kind of develop this stuff
Yeah.
and come up with these stories and ideas. So yeah, all in all, both the show itself and the little post show bit at the end that HBO is really great at are definitely worth a watch. So
Cool.
yeah. So I don't have anything else. Um, Next weekend is Thanksgiving, so we'll see if everybody's available to record. I think I will be, and Lauren, I know you're going to see a couple of things. So Andrew, hopefully you can make it.
I'm super excited because by the time this airs on YouTube, the first four episodes of Stranger Things season five will have dropped.
Ooh.
And I will say that the rewatch is almost
Yep,
done in
yep,
that um we're now on season four. Yeah.
yep.
And we're about to start episode four. And I cannot
That's
wait for
exactly where I
Simon.
am. That's funny. Like I'm literally in the exact same spot. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah. So, uh, yeah, I'm going to finish my rewatch just in time. I'm ready to go. I have a feeling that before we record, if we record on Friday, we will not be able to talk about all four episodes because they
No,
are not going to be short episodes.
no, they will not be short.
So,
But maybe one or two. But I am so ready, dude. I am so ready. Um, yeah. I just remember the scale of season four. I feel it. And, something's more like it feels like a different show now. Like she's like, like, but I'm like, no, no, this is planned all along, but just hang in there. I want you to see, running up that hill, like you're gonna understand why it was such a big deal back in 2022.
well, and I remember I was talking about how I think in our group chat how this season starts a little slow again, like season
Yes.
two, but this one develops that slowness faster. So you see this cheerleader have this thing happen, and we're like, who gives a shit? We don't know who this girl is. Like this thing sucks or whatever, but we don't know who she is. And then it happens to this nerdy kid, and you're like, okay, well, he's friends with Nancy, but I don't give a shit about him either. And then as soon as you see that Max is seeing that clock and hearing that toll, you're like, fuck, this is our girl. And then you're in it, right? And that only took 3 episodes, I think.
Correct.
And so, it does start a little slow because it's building the world, but it moves faster than season two did. Like they definitely upped their pacing ability going into season four. And so, yeah, I'm excited for season five.
Amen.
So, oh, and real quick too, on this subject, um, I saw something today where when they did season one, they didn't have a plan.
Correct.
They were like super stoked that they got it made. They're like, fuck yeah, I can't
Yes.
believe we're doing this. They finished season one and they were like, shit, we better know what we're doing. And so
Yes.
they came up with a plan after season one. And the other thing that was really cool that I read about was in season three, there's the bathroom stall scene with Steve and Robin.
Yes.
And the original plan was for the have them couple up to be a love interest. And at some point they were like, you know what? We should do this different. And they all sat down. They sat down with Maya Hawke and they came up with the idea to make her a lesbian and change that scene. And that scene is incredible. Like
Brilliant.
that scene's so good because it shows so much growth for Steve at that point, right? Because he is so accepting of it. And it just becomes, amazing. And it's funny that it wasn't what they had in mind when they were even when they started the season.
Yeah, it was organic. And I
Hmm.
think that's what makes the show work so well because I do think that, the actors do bring part of themselves into it. Like even with the whole no collarbones thing, G Gaten Matarazzo really has that condition
Yes.
where he
Yeah.
has a bone thing going
Yeah.
on.
The whole teeth thing and all that. That's all
Yeah,
his legitimate
it's
issue.
real.
Yeah.
But no, I gotta say, like season three again was better than I remember. I remember I've been bagging on
Hmm.
season three for this entire podcast, and now I'm like, okay, that was better than I remembered. Because I remember thinking season three was like, okay, if season four doesn't bring the pain, like if it's not the shit, like I'm gonna fall off this show. But then after episode four, season four, I was all in. I was like, okay, this is the GOAT.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steve, dude, like he was such a champ. Like the way he just bounced back. Cause he's literally his ass is beat, he's all black and blue, and then he's like confessing
That he
like
likes her. Yeah.
his
That he.
feelings for her. And she's like, yeah,
She's like, sorry, bro. You have the
I'm not
wrong
into
equipment.
dicks.
Yeah.
You know,
He-
and he's like, oh well. And then he immediately pivots to wingman, and I was just
yeah.
like, dude, you are the man, dude. It
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
super stoked for that. That's what is that? That's 27th, which is that's actually
26th.
Thanksgiving, isn't it? The
No,
26th.
26th,
So it's
which is
Wednesday.
yeah, Wednesday. So it's like Wednesday night, so that way on Thanksgiving, like people can talk about. Because I know, man, I had this. Sorry, guys, I get excited. On Friendsgivings, like one of my favorite things, like people always knew, like, oh, Andrew's here. Oh, we can talk Marvel now. So we would just be at the table talking about Stranger Things, dude. Like I'm gonna miss being able to do that. But anyway, it's so smart, man. And then of course, right before Christmas, then literally New Year's Eve. That takes balls to drop a show on New Year's Eve. But hey, maybe not. Maybe some people are like, going out is overrated. Let's just stay in, watch
Yeah.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully we'll have at least a couple episodes to talk about under our belt before next or for next week because it's gonna be good stuff, man.
Hell yeah.
So cool. Well, with that, I will say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.